Welcome to Brand Me. I'm Preston Konrad, and on this show, we'll talk all things branding, from launching a product line to owning your side hustle. We'll talk to the movers, the shakers, the thought leaders. What do you say we finally stop focusing on brands X, Y, and Z and focus on Brand Me? Let's start the show.
I think you have to think about where the industry that you're in is going and how to make yourself stand out, because you have to think about it. I think you can't be, my biggest piece of advice is you cannot be too precious with your content.
Today's episode is brought to you by my brand, Preston Konrad Home. Living a stylish life does not have to be overly complicated or expensive. The magic of home decor is really made through the fun finishing touches, which quite too often come with big box middlemen and luxury brand price tags. With Preston Konrad Home, everybody can now inject major style into their space with minimal effort and no furniture shopping required with our new luxury home fragrance collection. Just in time for fall, you can choose from 5 stunning luxury candle scents, all made in America, or our new hand wash collection, both of which will instantly transport yourself to another world while transforming your space at the very same time. As a listener of today's show, you can take 10% off of your purchase of any single item on Preston Konrad Home using the offer code BRANDME. That's PrestonKonradHome.com, offer code BRANDME. Guys, I am so excited for you to listen to this episode. Today, we are sitting down with Dan James. Dan is part of the partnerships team at Instagram, and Dan dives into all things Instagram, from growing a following, how to use all the different surfaces on Instagram to expand your personal brand, to launch your business. I think if you use Instagram, which there's probably not a world where you don't, you are going to want to get out your notebook and listen to this entire episode. So many amazing tips and tricks from Dan. So without further ado, here is Dan James from Instagram. Hi, Dan. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited.
I am so honored, and I feel like my listeners are going to be so excited, because anyone that works at Instagram, it's kind of like if you knew someone that worked at Willy Wonka's factory when it was so back in that movie. Like, I feel like it would be that.
Yeah, I'm like a modern day, really gay Oompa Loompa. That's like who I am.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I finally gave up the self-tanner that made me look like an Oompa Loompa, but yes, I feel that is what you are to many people, and the team that does so much amazing stuff at Instagram. So I'm very honored to have you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm so excited to be here. You're killing it. So I'm so excited to chat more.
It's wild. I try my hardest. But guys, for anyone who doesn't know, I met Dan not too long ago as a customer and neighbor of Preston Konrad Studio on 49th Street, and we became friends. And I, of course, reached out to him to get a snippet of his time on the show, because I think as we talk about branding, personal brands, product lines, expanding your personal brand, a lot of it wouldn't exist without Instagram. I know mine
totally
would. And so before we get into the questions I'm dying to ask you, tell me a little bit about what the partnerships team does at Instagram. What does that mean for someone who is not sure what that is?
Yeah, so the partnerships team has a very interesting job. We work between all of the engineers, the product managers, the marketing team, the sales team, and then the top creators, public figures, celebrities on Instagram. And we sort of build products that people need and want. Mm-hmm. And our job is to make sure that we continue to make a space for people to make a living on Instagram. And so I do a lot of feedback, like, Preston, what did you think of this? And I do a lot of product launches. So, working through, recently I worked on the expansion of links for all users on Instagram. So things like that just listening to feedback from creators of all sizes. So we do work with the Kim K's of the world and the Gabrielle Unions of the world, but then we also work with creators that are as small as 5,000, 10,000 followers on Instagram. So yeah, we're kind of the middleman between the guys behind the scenes and then the top power users on
It's
IG.
An important division, I would say. And
crazy.
I could imagine as of late, you may have been relatively busy, because I feel like every day I open up Instagram, there's a fun new feature that changes the way I use Instagram. So you're kind of involved in that as well.
Yeah. So whenever we have like a major moment happening, we have a product launch happening, part of my job is also to make sure that we have the top people getting access to it, making sure that they like it, giving us feedback on it, and ultimately kind of using it as a way for the rest of the world via like mimicry to use it, right? If I see one of my favorite creators using something, I want to be like, oh my God, how can I use that? And so I think after COVID, like the heart, I mean, we're technically still in COVID is like a never ending thing, but
I love what I was like, well, when after COVID I did, I'm like, wait, we are deep in it still.
yeah, we're still in it, but
yeah.
Post 2020 COVID, I'll call it. I think we really saw the need to continue to build more ways for creators to make a living on Instagram. And so we're really pumping out the products lately, man. It's been a doozy. Yeah.
It's so helpful because I know a lot of people listening are probably like me. Maybe they do make some sort of living on Instagram as a personal brand, but then they're also maybe dabbling in launching a product or their own brand or a service. So I know I'm using all these new tools. I think one thing that's really interesting for me now that I do sell wares and I have things to sell is that I'm able to do it from Instagram. The other day, we started getting these notifications that there were sales coming through. I finally hooked it all up right. I finally hooked everything up right.
Yeah, exactly.
Check out on Instagram and we're getting sales through it. And it's been a major milestone for us and it's gotten rid of a lot of friction. Tell me a bit about how shopping has become a big thing for brands, or maybe you don't have a product line, but you just want to sell things. Is that a possibility?
Yeah, totally. So we're building like all kinds of new e-commerce opportunities on Instagram, even if you don't own something like Preston Konrad Home or have the actual like brick and mortar store, right? If you're a creator and you create merch or you want, we deal with this from people that are YouTube creators and TikTokers and Instagram creators, all the way up to like the Billie Eilishes of the world who want to sell their merch on Instagram, but don't have like a Billie Eilish store, right? There's no like store for that. And I think selling through a website is just more difficult than connecting with people through Instagram. So it's super easy to make it so that you can sell your merch and your content, like your brand essentially, like on Instagram. You definitely want to first of all, I would say you can set it up Instagram shopping at business.instagram.com/shopping. I think that's it. Yes, that's it. Business.instagram.com/shopping. And we have like a bunch of best practices, kind of just making sure that when you're selling products, when you're selling merch, you're making it so that it's something that your followers would engage with anyways, right? Yep. Telling your business story through your content, and making something in it shoppable using these product tags. Also like making sure you're not trying to sell too many things in one post, I think is really important for anybody that's like just trying to dabble in to the shopping world on Instagram. And you can use like product tags in feed and in stories and in reels. And so there's all kinds of services across Instagram for you to kind of set yourself up for success. Yeah.
It's really been amazing for us, and I'm excited to see how it grows. I think you touched on something about telling your story through that content. But I think a lot of people now, more than ever, because it's so crowded on the platform, and there are other platforms, and there's so much going on, and people feel the need to jump on a bunch of other platforms. What do you think? I always tell people when they reach out to me, I'm like, it's about your personality, your personal brand, or whatever you have to say or sling or sell us or show us is about you as a person, which makes you different than person XYZ. Tell me a bit about some pointers or best tips, best practices to establishing your personal brand on Instagram.
For sure. So I definitely think, right, like you said there's no one right way to build a successful account on Instagram. But the key is to definitely be consistent. You have to train your audience and your followers to sort of get on board with what you're doing. I think early on it can feel sort of silly and you feel like, oh my gosh, who am I making this content for? You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think you've done a really good job of this actually in like every morning, during your workout, on your way to your workout, after your workout, you kind of give a rundown of like, here's what I got today. And I think that's something that people grow to love about your account, right? And your content. Another example of this that I think is super niche, and I'll go into best practices in a second, but One example is, I always use this example as Humans of New York, right? Most people, when they post a caption on Instagram, it's not like paragraphs and paragraphs, but Humans of New York has trained their audience to read a super, super long caption. If my friend was posting something that long, I'd be like, are you good, sis?
You'd be like, girl, you all right?
Yeah, like, are you okay? Yeah. But because it's coming from Humans of New York, they've trained me to like love it and want to read the whole story. So generally, I would say here are like kind of some of my like quick tips. I would say definitely 100% post at least once per day on feed. Instagram has over 1 billion users. There are a lot of freaking people on Instagram.
Oh my God.
You need to post once a day to feed. I know it is a lot. I know feed real estate is really precious, but I think that learning to not be as precious with feed will
the
really
likes
just
thing helped.
Totally.
I am so much more prone to posting what makes me happy and then what I really think will inspire people, because it's not, the pressure's been removed. So I feel like it's like 2012 again. I'm like, oh my God, I love this. I'm just going YOLO here.
Oh my God. Yeah. That makes me so happy. And I think like you should post like photos and videos, posts that like prompt a discussion, right? I think that's like really important. Then for stories, I think like 5 to 8. I think about it per like narrative, per like thing you have to say. I think that makes sense. Kind of in the moment updates, also using like the interactivity stickers, voting for things, the slider, those things like really help improve your engagement. We just actually launched an Add Yours sticker.
Wait, I'm obsessed with it. I'm obsessed with the Add Yours sticker. I don't fully get it, but I love it.
It's basically like a way, like I could be like, show me your Halloween costume and then post it. And then my followers will click that Add Your sticker and then show theirs and then share it to their followers. So it's sort of like a way for unconnected distribution and like collaborating and creating with people even beyond your sort of like inner circle. It's very cool. Yeah. And then Reels, like I think you've also done I love your Reels. I think you do an amazing job of kind of crossing over lifestyle and fashion and business building and what you're interested in. So I think
trying. It's a weird time. It's like
it is. It's
a weird time for me as a personal brand, because I started Instagram not selling anything, and I was a corporate employee of another company. So I used Instagram just to share accessible men's fashion. My life is completely different. And so I've had to train my audience to be like, well, no, this guy's a business. Oh no, this guy is a home brand. Oh no, this guy's renovating a house. He's not just posting jeans anymore. He's doing something else. And a lot of people have dropped off, but that's okay because we had new people come in.
The juice has to be worth the squeeze, right? And I find a lot of times that we have to have a lot of real talk conversations with creators around that. You're gonna, there is no such thing as eternal linear growth on Instagram. It's just how it is. And people need to set that expectation with themselves that it's okay if I have a dip. If I get lazy with creating, I might see a drop off, right? If I'm going in a direction that a set of followers didn't like, I will gain new followers in a different like niche category soon. But it does take a beat. You have to kind of like build again your brand and make it so that people understand what you're doing. And I think Reels is a great way to do that, right? You can showcase your product in creative ways or what you're interested in, tutorials, demos, things that you do all the time, like skincare. Those are like perfect examples.
I was going to ask you about Reels. I think there's a lot of, I get a lot of messages all the time from people that are trying to grow or start a product line or grow their personal brand. And I think they are, Instagram's always been a safe space for them because they know what kind of content they can create and they put it out. And sometimes they don't have to be in front of the camera. As like someone who owns a throw blanket company, some woman, let's say, but now she's like, holy shit, do I have to dance with my throw blankets? Like, how do I do this? Talk to me about how Reels could totally work for anyone and be a good point of creation, discovery, and growth.
Yeah. So first of all, I am not a fan, just me personally, I'm not a fan of like dancing videos on any short form. Like, I don't get it.
It makes me uncomfortable.
I'm old. I get secondhand embarrassment. I'm like, what is this? It's like a whole thing. So the short answer is you do not have to dance with your throw blankets in order to be successful. I think there is, though, a self-awareness and like an awareness of the ecosystem in general of what's happening, right? Everybody has short form content now. YouTube now has it, like lots of competitors to Instagram are building out new products, and it's amazing. They should, right? They're seeing amazing trends. They're seeing it pop off. And so I think it's really important to do that. So I think the focus is to really make sure that and recognize that the people that follow you probably don't want to see dancing content. They want to see like real life, like, oh, they always comment on your photos or your stories of, how you organize your refrigerator. This is something that I think about Eva Chen on my team and like what she does. She has very niche things that people are very interested in. So let's say I have a really organized refrigerator, oddly satisfying something. You can make a reel of just like how you do it and what you do. It's very, very basic steps. And there are lots of tools. If you just go to the Instagram blog.instagram.com, they have like how-tos of how to make a reel if you've never done it before. I also think mimicry, like watch Preston and see how
I was going to say that's another thing. Like sometimes how people, during COVID were like, oh, I just got sucked into a TikTok K-hole, right?
Totally,
like I'm making a point of doing it on Reels and getting lost in like a Reels K-hole where I see what's trending, what other people are doing, what type of content. Oh, I haven't seen this before. I could do one of those myself. So I would tell people, and I'm guessing you would too, to spend some time in it and discover and then the mimicry thing can happen.
Totally. And I think one of the benefits of Reels being relatively new to the Instagram ecosystem compared to like a feed post is that there is opportunity for unconnected distribution and like that feeling of breaking and growing and like popping off. And I think Instagram frankly can do a better job of that. I think I think there's room to grow, but I also think getting in now is the way to do it, right? I think like your strategy is super smart. You think about like the Charlie D'Amelios on TikTok who started super early and now they've made bajillion-dollar businesses and all of this stuff. And they've done amazing things on TikTok. And I don't necessarily think what works for TikTok works for Instagram, right? I don't think that's
for me. It doesn't like all my TikTok stuff. I tried to repurpose some things and what goes viral for me, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million views on TikTok doesn't perform on Reels. And then what I do on Reels doesn't perform on TikTok. And I'm like, what? They can live in separate houses and that's fine.
Totally. And I think that's what I really like about Instagram. And I think TikTok is great. Like everybody, nobody can deny like how amazing TikTok is doing. And I think that it's better to have an approach like when you're as an Instagram employee talking about, quote unquote competitors, like to be very like, there's enough room for everybody because I really do think there is. But what I like about Instagram is you don't have to totally lean into Reels, right? You can still post feed photos like static images or longer form video or shorter form video or go live and turn it into a video. You know what I mean? So I think that the diversity and the different kind of surfaces that we have to build your brand is something that differentiates us from a lot of other businesses. And I think also you have to think through, right? With that being said, what was cool on Instagram 8 years ago, right? A beautiful girl sitting on a rock with her hair blowing in the wind in like a Gucci outfit it's not gonna, people don't care about that anymore. They're like, this is fake. This is kind of like not real. Like they want to see your real life. So I think like leaning into like more of behind the scenes of like your life and like what you're doing and even the struggles of building a brand, that's more interesting to me than like seeing you kill it all the time. You know what I mean? So
100%. I've gotten way less precious about that. The feed in general, showing more of my personal life. What do you, you touched on this, but what are your thoughts? I think a lot of people, maybe if they're a little not quite ready to dip their toe in the Reels pond yet, they feel comfortable maybe with video. I know there's been some changes with video, the way it shows up, which I actually really prefer it. Just my personal opinion. I like this video tab a lot. But because it just was much more organized for me. But is that still a good place for people to spend time creating, doing video that's not Reels?
Totally. So I think that I'll kind of just address what you said. So I do think that video on Instagram can be a little confusing. So we're doing things to simplify it, to make it easier, to make video is video and make it very like ephemeral and enjoyable and entertaining and make it less confusing and having best practices for each thing. So I think I just want to note, so it makes me happy to hear that you like appreciate the change. It's just
like all my videos are in one spot. If you want to see me, if you're a potential client, you're a TV, whatever, you want to see me in video, go there.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that is exactly why we did it. So it makes me so happy. But no, there is no world where longer form video is like completely going away, right? I think it's just diversifying your content. If you feel more comfortable making like a longer video, if you're like a YouTube first creator,
Mm-hmm.
maybe try to make like a snippet of something longer that you've created. So you don't have to record anything. You can kind of just edit it and cut it down and make it kind of like a preview into what you're doing and maybe start there. But no. I mean,
Yeah.
I never, for me personally, and I'm sort of like I like to connect with my followers and my friends in a quasi creator way. I wouldn't say I'm totally like a creator, but I say almost creator. But I'm not a huge fan of reels. I just don't feel confident creating them. But I love leaning into stories, and my followers will go through all my stories. Like my engagement and my impressions on stories are huge, and my video is low. But whenever I post a story, I usually get engagement on it. So it just kind of depends, whatever you're comfortable with. Yeah.
What about I would say, so two other areas I want to ask you about. One, if someone's noticing, I get these questions all the time, and I share it all the time. Oh, this wasn't what it used to be. These aren't doing as well. But what would you say for someone that is getting in their head a little bit and feeling a little defeated, maybe by looking at the grass is greener, seeing someone else's stuff do really well, or theirs not doing really well? Any best practices or tips or tricks to keep your chin up in when something doesn't perform the way you thought it would?
Yeah. So this is something we get a lot of inbound on, this notion of, shadow banning.
I die for these like conspiracy, dark conspiracies about Instagram. Like they're out to like, it's like, guys, it maybe wasn't that good of a post. I hate to say, like, I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
No. And I think like there are things that Instagram can do better, but ultimately it is about, whenever I have creators or public figures or anybody come to me and they say, oh, my impressions are super low. Like I'm not popping off the way I used to. It's like, well, what you were always doing may not work now. Like Instagram is ever changing, right? We've launched, we used to just be like, essentially people thought it was like a photo editing app. It was just like still photos. It was
filters.
So many filters, all of the things. And so as we have competition, as the world is more energized by video and by new and cool and interactive and collaborative experiences, we have to continue to grow and prioritize those things in order to continue building up these younger creators as well. So one thing I would say is if you say like, oh, what was always working for me isn't working, you need to think about your content strategy. And you need to think about, okay, very realistically, is this still worthy of a feed post? Like, is this the same thing I always post, right? I think that especially for people that have merch or have a product line, posting just a photo of your soap every single day in a different light with a different background it's not, you're gonna drop. You're gonna see drops off a cliff of everything. And it's not it's not shadow banning. It is your content strategy. So that's number one. Number two is I think like it's very easy to compare to a creator or somebody that you see whose numbers are bigger than yours, or you think that they're popping off, but are they being more daring than you with their content strategy, right? Are they leaning into things that maybe you're a little nervous to? That is okay. But if they are doing that and you don't want to do that, what is like the niche thing that you can do that is different? You have to differentiate yourself. And I know that's like very vague and very like, but like, it is true. It's true. There are so many people. There are kids now that want to grow up to be influencers. Like, what?
Isn't that crazy?
Dude, why? Like, what? Crazy. I was like, I want to be a doctor. These kids want to be, a video creator, a YouTuber, or whatever. So I think I think you have to think about where the industry that you're in is going and how to make yourself stand out, because you have to think about it. I think you can't be, my biggest piece of advice is you cannot be too precious with your content. Don't spend so much time on one thing. Spread yourself out and try new things. It is scary, but I guarantee you it will work, and it will just get easier over time.
Because there's some people I follow, probably more in the female fashion space, that are,
Totally.
1, 2, 3 million followers. And they'll post, my friends and I'll be like, can you believe she didn't even filter that? She just put it up. And it's like that. I love that approach, that it's just like, this is my life. This is what I wore. I did a quick video of me walking to the coffee shop. Like, it's feeling much more real and less precious, and just a higher volume of real content, and less holding the reins back and being in Lightroom for 20 hours.
Yeah. And one thing I think, Lightroom, LOL, I love Lightroom.
I mean, Lightroom.
It's the best. One thing I will say though, and I think you actually made this you did a very good job of, I reacted to this on your stories the day after the IG blackout a few weeks ago. But I think it's so important to diversify your content on Instagram and also off of Instagram. And that's coming 100%. From me. And I work at Instagram. Like, obviously I want you to post everything on Instagram, because Instagram is the best. It's fun. It's easy. It's simple. Yep. The design is beautiful. But I also think you don't want to be stuck. And maybe what those people that are seeing pop off some numbers on are diversifying their content on other platforms and bringing in new audiences from
totally.
elsewhere.
I mean, that post got shared so much when I posted that post. And that was another thing I'm also trying. It's like, if you had asked me 4 years ago when I was wearing a cute outfit, if I was ever going to post a tweet as a static image on my Instagram that could be a shareable piece of content, I would tell you to fuck off. And now people want to know what's in my head. They want to know different parts of me, and it's working. So I'm doing it, but I mean,
you have essentially like created another sort of content type for yourself that's maybe lower lift, that still has the same amount of impact, if not more. And it sort of like creates a different, like a meme part of your brand, which I think is so dope. Like, that's amazing.
I'm just playing. It's like, I'm trying now. I mean, because I feel less pressure now, I am playing and throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what works. And I'm like, if that didn't work, I'm not going to do that anymore. So that's fine.
Well, and also for like anybody listening, even what you just said, like you are very successful. You own a business, you have such a great brand on Instagram, and you're doing such amazing things, and you're still throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks. That should energize people with 10,000 followers or 15,000 followers or a small business.
Yep.
Make them feel empowered to do the same thing, because it's true. There's no like perfect way to do it. And I think back in the day, there probably was. Before I worked at Instagram, before I even had an Instagram, I definitely think there was a little bit more of a clean recipe or equation to like quote unquote hacking the algorithm, but that just doesn't exist anymore. There are too many products on Instagram. There are too many surfaces. There are too many people trying to make it and like build themselves out. So
speaking of trying to make it, I feel like this conversation will inspire someone who hasn't done it yet to maybe start an account, get a handle that they wanted to get for something, and they're going to have a big fat 0 under the followers, right? Totally. And they're going to start from ground zero. I think, God bless you, that's a challenge, but I'd be up for it. Any tips on growing? I know you talked about consistency, but like, some people will say, well, go follow all these accounts, or go to someone's followers and engage with them and comment on a thing here. Any tips on just like getting numbers moving in a good direction if you're starting from nothing?
Yeah. So I think if you have first start with like what you have. Most people, if they're starting out a new Instagram account from zero, they probably have a personal Instagram account. Yep. So make sure that you're sharing all of that content to your personal account. The worst thing that will happen is people will click in and be like, what is this? And then click out. But at least you'll get an impression on your page. You'll get the higher probability that it'll stick, right? So number one, definitely use what you have. Like, think smarter, not harder in that way. Mm-hmm. Two, I would say this kind of hack of following a bunch of people and then unfollowing a bunch of people, do not do that. That is not a best practice. It is not good for the tone of whatever you're trying to build. People feel like kind of gooped by it. They don't really like it. It's just like not a good
It feels
vibe.
icky.
It feels icky. And people do it and it might work very short term, but like I said, you will see the drop off the cliff very quickly. So I don't recommend that. What I do think is important, and I think you're very good at this, just with our interactions early in our friendship, is I think whatever following you're able to get through cross posting, through following similar lifestyle accounts or fashion accounts or beauty accounts, doing something in the realm of you, DMing with them, interacting with them, and interacting in like a swift way, right? You gotta be on your game a little bit. If somebody responds, "Oh my God, I love this candle," you should respond and let them know there's a human behind it. It's your business, but it's also you. Like they're buying you.
Totally.
That's so important. Interactivity is so important, especially
people say, and people are like, my engagement. I'm like, you just said the word though. Are you even engaging with these people?
Exactly.
Like you need to go back and respond, get into the DMs, talk to people, send messages. And I think people are a little burnt out by social media in general. So I know that may seem daunting some nights when you just want to watch Below Deck and like take a CBD and be like done. But you have to do it, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and I think like that this is true, right? I work in social media and I like it is exhausting some days for me to go on Instagram, and I work inside Instagram. I'm just like, fuck this.
Right.
Dude, yeah. It can be very overwhelming, and there's so much content, and it's so overstimulating, and it's all social media. It's all kind of businesses. It's everything. Yep. And so I definitely think keeping that in mind, protecting your energy, but setting aside an hour where you're really like leaning in, really scheduling out. Because if you want to like make it, if you want to build a brand, you got to do it. It sucks. It sucks, but it will pay off. And you will see how quickly you can get 100. Yeah.
She went from 0 to, over the course of a year, I don't know, maybe less, grew to a really fun niche account about helping people learn how to become great writers, grew to 10.5K followers by being consistent and making shareable stuff and being on all the time. And she's a mom and she's like, how am I going to do this? I'm like, girl, stick with it and grind and get in there. Totally. And she did it. And it's the real way to do it.
100%. I think it's like you just gotta lean in, and it's amazing to hear that like accounts are even 10,000 followers is so many. That's a lot of people.
So many.
It's a lot to look at your stuff and care about you and interact with you. So you should be excited and grateful and want to interact back with those people. You know what I mean? I think it's really important. It's super important. So
we're almost out of time, and I could talk to you for 4 hours. What is next for Instagram? What do you think? You don't have to say anything. What do you think is going to be the next vibe or direction for people that are starting a personal brand and how they use Instagram?
Totally. So one thing that I just recently worked on that I think is like amazing is the new collabs feature where you can.
I just used it. I love it.
Oh my God. I have to go like it. Amazing. Good. I think that's a really easy way to sort of, show what you're doing, show what you're working on. You could, you can cross share from your personal brand to your business, and share with other, do collaborations with other businesses and create like really cool new audiences that you never could capture before. So I think Instagram is doing a really great job of building new creation experiences. Then those types of things will continue, right? Improving the Reels experience, making it easier, make it more fun, making stories really entertaining, and making organic content more, of a thing that I call it a walk and talk down the street, which you do a very good job of, but making it easier to create walk and talk situations. And then frankly, I think that Instagram will always, always, always have a place for static images and like pictures on Instagram. That will never go away, and we'll never deprioritize it or downrank it or whatever.
Right.
But I do think if you are not creating video on any platform, you should think about starting, because I just without giving anything, I mean, there's nothing really to give away. We created an entire tab on Instagram for Reels. Yep. That says to the world, oh, maybe I should think about this. You know what I mean? Like read between the lines. Nobody has to tell you what you already know. Like look in front of you and look and see how other apps outside of Instagram are pushing content to you. Like what type of content are they pushing? Even YouTube has like a short form video section as a part of their homepage now. Like you really got to think about that the way that these apps are building for you and what they're pushing into your face.
Oh my God. So true. It's like right in front of us.
Totally. And I also think that just partnerships and collaboration is the key. Find other small businesses or smaller creators that you think are doing cool shit and make content with them and do something cool. And you will attract new people very, very easily. And I think that is something that Instagram will continue to build for, is like making it so you can reach unconnected audiences in exciting ways. So yeah, it's exciting.
God, I'm obsessed with this whole episode. My last question for you is, and we didn't talk too much about Brand of Dan because you're giving so much amazing info, but was there a point ever in your personal brand journey of building your brand within your where you work, where you thought was such a brand failure that you turned out to be like such a blessing, a brand blessing for you as you built yourself as a personal brand?
Yeah. So I think that it's so funny. Before I worked at Instagram, I used to work at Teen Vogue, and they had me doing a lot of video content for them because I'm gay and I can read a thing and talk.
Dan will do it.
Yeah, they were like, okay. So I think that it was I ended up like in a world where I was like almost on the reboot of TRL. It was like a whole thing. I almost left my job at Teen Vogue to go work in TRL. Ended up not working out. I sort of was like, what? Like, I was like, what was I doing? What was that? I'm like, I don't know if that's what I would have done. The show ended up failing, whatever, etc. But it was one of those moments where I was like, this is not for me. I need to focus on what I'm really good at, what comes easy to me. And also I think people don't lean into like enough of what comes easy. If it comes easy to you, it's fun to do it. So like lean into what comes easy to you. And I think that just for my personal like own Instagram brand and like self brand and, the content I put out there, I'm very, very transparent. I'm very clear about, what energizes me, what doesn't energize me, my failures, feeling exhausted, and I sort of always felt like I needed to share like the most amazing things on Instagram all the time and keep up like a persona. And I don't need to. I think I've shared like my coming out story. I've shared stories about not getting jobs, and it's helped my following quite a bit, to be very honest, about being very transparent.
It's very real.
Totally. And so that definitely worked for me. I think this was back in the day too. It was like when Instagram was a little bit more shiny and like a little less kind of behind the scenes. So I definitely think just like be yourself on Instagram, even if it's hard, even if it sucks, even if you have like, you feel like you don't have anything to say, you do. So you'll be fine. But God. And I'm always happy to come back, answer questions, do whatever. This is so fun. And
I want to have you back for sure.
Yeah, I'm so impressed. Honestly, this is where I just like gush over Preston. This is so dope. You have literally created an entire new opportunity for brand building via talking about brand building. It's amazing. I
just feel like no one was doing it in a way. It was like all these business guys and no one that was like, hey, I've been on Instagram for 10 years. Hey, I had a regular corporate job, but I did, and now I've done this. So I'm glad you like this. And I think your episode is going to be a wildly popular one because anything Instagram is Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory.
Oh my gosh, I'm here for it. Well, I'm here to hand out chocolate. So let me know. Oh my God. And congrats on everything. I'm so excited for you.
Thank you. And come to the studio soon.
Yes. I'm going to buy all the things. I need to get so much soap. I'm excited.
I have plenty. Thanks, Dan.
Of course.
For more on the show, you can find us on Instagram at Brand Me Podcast or at Preston Konrad. Be sure, of course, to rate, review, and subscribe and share on social. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week.